Hello, my loves. Welcome to a specially requested episode of the podcast. I think we're on episode 50 now. I'm so happy you're here and I'm glad you're still listening. This podcast touches on haters, trolls and keyboard warriors surviving the creative world online. I have been requested this after somebody has had a really bad week of people abusing them and just asked, is there any chance you could help? And I gave some advice, and she said, would you ever consider doing a video on it or a podcast? I said, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So here it is. Welcome to The Loud Lens, a podcast where we tell it how it is. And today we're talking about something that every creative who dares to exist online has dealt with. And I hate to say it, all of us hate trolls and unsolicited opinions. Now, I am a female photographer, and I will say that I can speak from a female perspective that I seem to think a lot of hate is aimed at women. But then I have also, having done research for this episode, looked in online and seen there is quite a lot of hate towards men, and there is a bit of a pile-on that happens particularly in Facebook groups. Now, I've had the cliche, oh, you should smile more when I'm presenting. I've also had people critique my clothing, like my clothing somehow makes my photography skills any different. It's insane. I've had people critique my work who don't even own a camera and literally will not put up their own work when they're critiquing. Like they'll say, oh, I would have done this. I'm like, well, share it. And they don't. So these people don't matter, okay? They really don't matter. But we're going to break it down today, why creatives and women, obviously from my perspective, get so much online abuse, how to handle trolls without letting them kill your creativity, when and should you clap back and block and move on, and then the ultimate question, should you even care? So let's get into it. So the internet loves to hate on creatives. Well, I say the internet, it's not really the internet, but you know what I mean. The moment you put your work online, some miserable person will have an opinion. And now there is a saying that everyone has an opinion, just like everyone has a hole, but it's true. Maybe they don't like how you edit a shot. Maybe they're mad that you're charging for your work. Maybe they just don't like that you're successful. But most of these people, having looked, I'm literally in a Facebook group now looking at this. I clicked on someone who wrote a really horrible message on someone's picture and they have not posted. These people who, I've just done, let me do another one quickly. Yep. Yeah, literally nothing. They just create horrible comments online. There's not an example of their own photography work, and yet they're in a photography group. But they are there making horrible comments about others. That says so much about these people. They literally don't matter. They sit in their little profile, scrolling, hating, and achieving jackal nothing. Now, there is some psychology of online hate, the jealousy and the projection. People see creatives doing what they wish they could do and it triggers them. So they become horrible. There's also some misogyny in it. And I know, lads, you're going to eye roll at this. And the fact you're eye rolling at this, it literally proves that you might be part of the problem. Because female creatives do get statistically way more unsolicited criticism and abuse than others. I know you're going to argue, and there's lots of you going, but it does happen, and I've seen it. There's also the gatekeeper mentality. There are some photographers who will act like they own the industry and tear down any new talent. So, I would say, have you ever posted a photo and then some random person tells you how you should have shot it and you're like, okay. You never asked them that and they've not posted any picture, but I'm seeing it. In fact, just in this Facebook group now, there is someone who's just wrote, oh my God, why did you shoot this? I totally wouldn't have shot it like this. There's no saying how they would have shot it. They've just said, I would have shot this. What is the point of that? That's pointless posting as far as I'm concerned. It's utter rubbish. Now, I'm going to identify some of the worst type of haters and how I would handle them. Bear in mind, this is me, okay? So I'm blunt and you know that I'm not subtle in coming forward. So let's talk about the species of online haters that you will probably encounter as a creative. The you're doing it wrong person. Nice shot, but I would have used a 50mm instead. They're pretty prevalent in the Facebook groups. I have to say that when X, Twitter, whatever it was formerly known as, there was quite a few in there. My response literally is just to ignore them, put them on mute, or sometimes I've just gone, all right, show me your version then, and they never do. I don't think I've had anybody, or in fact, one guy once said he did it better, and what he posted was dreadful. I didn't tell him. I just did a side eye emoji and moved on. these people exist. I will say I see them mostly in a Facebook group. Then you got the one that literally critiques you for charging for your work, right? They're like, oh, I wouldn't even pay for that. Well, I'm sorry, a client did. We all know that exposure doesn't pay the bills, dude. So why are you annoyed that I charge? It's almost, this is often a Facebook group. This tends to be somebody who hasn't made it as a professional photographer or can't get paid work. I feel like that definitely is the projection side, that they wish they could charge for their work and they haven't. I've seen it. I have. I often see it quite a lot in the wedding photography groups as well. I'm going to say that mainly because I've seen people say, oh my God, you charge that much and you do that. Yeah. And now the one that's probably going to get most people commenting and being annoyed at me, the sexist mansplainer, the person who kind of, I got told, how come I don't photograph babies? And I was like, because I don't, but you're a woman. And I was like, what? I know that's not mansplaining, that's just being sexist. The other one I had was, I was at a trade show with a friend and my work happened to be up on display, and I was really proud of it being up there. And I was like super buzzy about it. And we happened to be stood behind two male photographers who were stood in front of my work. And I could hear them saying nice things about my work. My friend, who had never been to the trade show, isn't a photographer, got really excited and basically said, oh, my friend shot that, and pointed it to me. And the first response after these two men looked me up and down was, so did you sleep with your model? And I was so taken back that of everything they were going to ask me. They didn't ask me about my lighting. They didn't ask about what was the inspiration. They asked me if I had sexual relations with my model. At which I responded, no. Why do you sleep with all your models? And they were like, why would you ask that? But they got indignant about that after they said it to me. I mean, that really highlighted that to me. I will just say, those, one of the ones I will often say is like, if they do something really like petty, like, oh my God, I can't believe a girl shot that, I would go, why did your mum help you write this comment? Like, people seem to forget that women have been helping them along. Like, just the fact you're even existing in the world is because some woman put an effort into labor. Like, I'm not going to get on my big feminist sort of point on this, but seriously, like, it's madness. The other one is the full-on troll, the one that just rips your work apart, tells you you're ugly and you suck at photography. And I will be honest, I have had this. And I have had this since I started in photography. In fact, it got worse quite recently because, one, I launched this podcast and people went mad. When I did my book, I got abuse. But the podcast really triggered people. In fact, I got a message telling me I was too big for my boots. I need to settle back down because I'm just a mediocre person. While I'm not going to argue that I'm a mediocre person because it's an opinion. That's fine. Tell me I can't have a podcast when I literally can. Anyone can. I don't understand why it was going to affect it. You don't need to listen. Okay, but those of you who are listening, please feel free to like and subscribe and comment. But you don't need to. Why is it so difficult for people to scroll by? Why is that an issue? Now, I recently had my hair dyed this fluorescent orange and I love it. And as a little thing, while we were in the hairdresser, we got my eyebrows done. So they were matching ginger. And I happened to go on a YouTube. In fact, no, I was on TikTok. I'm lying. I was on TikTok. And I got threats to end my life. And I should have triggered that, actually. And I could not believe that made people want to send that to me, all because of my eyebrows. I mean, who does that? Like, I'm talking about something completely unrelated, and the takeaway was not what I was talking about, but about my eyebrows and how they feel I should no longer exist in the world because I had that. It doesn't matter that I'm educated. It doesn't matter that I was talking about something that was backed up with facts. It was all about telling me that I shouldn't exist in this world because I have those eyebrows. So I'm going to tell you now, don't be afraid to block, delete, and forget these people existed. They have no right to take up space on your platform. They can, by all means, I'm sure, find other places to hang out and fester under a bridge somewhere. But they don't need to be on your portfolio, on your profiles. You can block them. And don't be sorry that you're blocking these people. Take ownership, set boundaries, block them, and delete them. I do recommend that you screenshot it and store it somewhere where you're not going to look at it, just in the event that they manage to weasel back in somehow, because that has also happened. I'm currently looking, as I speak to this microphone on my desk, at a folder that I have, which does contain quite a few of the abuse I've got over the years, because as someone who's had a stalker in the past, I'm pretty careful with recording stuff and having information kept to hand. I also screenshot any abuse I have on my phone and store it on my laptop as well. And you might have seen I have quite a little bit of an unusual response to some of the hate I get. I will call them out, share what they've written to me, and tag them in it so that other people who might know them or see it will see it, because I am done with some of these people hiding. So yeah, I've also have in the past sent stuff to the authorities because of the level of stuff I've got. Now, I'm not alone, and the person who requested this requested this podcast has also had to do this equally. This is not okay. Like, people say, oh, you know, you need to man up if you're going to be on the internet. No, I don't think anyone should be subjected to some of the levels I'm seeing. Now, I've just logged into a Facebook group here, and it is a photography one. I'm not going to name it, but it is on a Facebook group. And I can already identify quite a few of the trolls I've just mentioned. I've seen it, the doing it wrong guys straight there, telling somebody that that's not how you do it, this is how I would do it. Now, I clicked on their name. They have not posted one photo. If I scroll further down, there is someone just saying this is utter, and you know, swearing. That's the full-on troll. Like, and they don't even, let me just click. Yeah, they don't even have their own photography link. Like, this is not okay. Like, I know the internet isn't real, but the words, they can sting, and the actions of constantly being hounded. So I know for a fact that people will not only go on to like send abuse on Facebook, but they'll go find your Twitter, they'll go find your Instagram, they'll go find your website. Because I have had this. I have had someone create numerous brand new YouTube accounts just to send me the same comment over and over again. And there was somebody today who sent me like a bit of a nasty message. I gave them the information they wanted. They weren't happy, and then continued to send me abuse. Like, I don't get it. What is so wrong in your life that you want to spend the energy and the time doing that, creating those constant accounts and doing that abuse? But these people exist and they do this sort of thing. It is utterly unhinged, in my opinion. Now, when does the criticism actually matter? Okay, I'm not telling you to ignore all the noise, but let's be fair, not all criticism is bad. Critique and criticism. The trick is knowing what is useful and what's utter tosh. So let's look at good feedback. It comes from people with actual experience. I would say if you're not going to those people for advice, don't take anyone else's opinion to matter. Like, that, if they're not going to them for advice, their opinion doesn't matter. Like, leave it, just ignore it. It's just white noise. Good feedback helps you improve without tearing you down and making you feel crummy about stuff, and comes from a place of respect and is not about the person's ego or about how great they are. They are teaching you because they're respectful. There's a way to teach you it. And, you know, and I don't think people should go, oh, we're all going soft. This isn't about being soft. This is about just acting professional and being like easier. Like, why would you go out your way to be horrible to somebody? Who's hurt you to need to do that? Now, bad feedback comes from random strangers who don't do what you do, and you never ask for advice. They are keen to humiliate and not help, and comes from people who are just irrelevant and bitter. So ask yourself, would I take advice from this person if we were face to face? And if the answer is no, honestly ignore it and don't be afraid to block them. Now, how do you protect your creativity and your sanity? Because honestly, when you're constantly confronted with all that negativity, it can have a huge effect on you. So 1, block and mute. Like, get generous with it. Like, go crazy. Your mental health is worth more than some troll's opinion. And I am acutely aware that negative words and stuff can have a knock-on effect. We are adult enough to know it can. So let's not be afraid to block people or mute them or unfollow them. Also, create your online space. You do not have to read the comments. Now, I know the algorithm says you need to respond to comments and but you know what? There are ways to block certain words, or don't look at it immediately. Look at it when you're feeling better or you're ready to face it. But because if you're going to block the bad ones, you should have less and less of these negative comments to read. Focus on real supporters. The people who love your work, who lift you up, who tell you how to improve, matter way more than anyone else. And I just want you to know, don't ever let it dim what you're doing. The more you grow, unfortunately, the way the internet means that ultimately the more hate you'll get. It's a sign that you're doing something right. I don't agree with it, and I hate that that's a thing that happens. But just look at it as, I must be doing something right. I'm so sorry that happened. I cannot speak from absolute personal experience. I've had this, and I have spoken to a couple of male photographers when I was doing some research into this episode, and they themselves have experienced it, but they have identified that they think certain people do get more. It's just awful, and part of me thinks that some of the absolute cesspits are some of these Facebook groups. That's not to say leave the Facebook groups, but find the ones that are kinder. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get some sort of critique to build you up and improve, because the last thing you want is people go, oh my god, you're amazing, when you literally have room for improvement. We all started somewhere, but some of these photographers forget we are all learning, and we are all on a journey to learn. And just because you're like miles ahead of everybody doesn't mean you need to trash somebody who is just starting out. Remember what it was like when you started out. and I'm sure I'm probably going to get people going to hate me or troll on me for this episode, but I was asked to do it, and I actually quite enjoyed doing the research, and it was heartbreaking, especially now I am actually still logged into this Facebook group, and some of these comments are just brutal beyond. And I know you say, oh, it's just business. These aren't business. There's one here taking personal attacks at the photographer because, in fact, this is a male photographer getting abused because he has no hair. Like, what? Why does that have an impact on his photography? Like, seriously, why? I honestly, it astounds me. I want you to remember that haters don't pay your bills. At the end of the day, the creatives who stay on the course win. Okay, stay. Everyone remembers the art. They don't remember the trolls. They don't remember some random person leaving a hate comment. They will talk about your work though. They'll remember you. So I want you to keep creating, keep pushing, and don't let the internet nobody take up space in your mind. Now, I want to just say, if you've ever dealt with online hate, feel free to drop a comment and we can have a chat. Do you engage or ignore? But more importantly, don't be afraid to engage the authorities. You have every right to be on the internet without being harassed and bullied, and it is never okay. There are lots of the platforms have places you can reach out to, but I want you to remember your own mental health is more important, and if it gets too much, turn it off and go away from it. If it starts to escalate, go to the authorities. Anyway, this has been Khandie for The Loud Lens. Subscribe for some more real talk on the photography industry, and I'll see you all in the next episode of The Loud Lens. If you have a special request you want me to cover, please drop me a message. Take care of you, and hopefully we'll start creating a community that we'll all love. I just want to do this quick reminder that if you are listening to this episode before March 2025, remember that in March I will be attending the photo and video show, where I will actually not only be doing talks, I'm also hosting a networking come and chat, talk to me about anything thing at 12 p.m. on the Monday, which I believe is the 11th. I might have that wrong, or is it the 10th? I can't remember if it's the 12th or the 10th. I need to actually remember this. So no, it's the 10th. I was wrong. It's the 10th on the Monday at 12 at the Boca Bar, where you can free to ask any question, hang out with us. Okay. If you haven't already got your ticket, remember pro photographers, provided they meet certain criteria, can get free tickets. But however, use the code SPK25 for a 20% discount, but make sure you book them before the 5th of March. I look forward to seeing you all there. Take care. Don't be a douchebag on the internet, and I'll see you all in the next episode.